Thank you very much. Thank you very
Okay.
much, everybody, for being here. I'm Arthur Wetzel. I'm the CEO of the LangOps Institute, and I just want to make a short introduction about what the LangOps Institute is all about and how the LangOps Pros community, we call it LOP, fits into the full concept. So basically, LangOps is a language framework, and the LangOps Institute is the authority that's operationalizing language in the age of AI. So what we do, we bring together experts like you, we bring together enterprises and also innovators like tech, tech suppliers, but also innovative service providers. We have that, yes. And we are working on defining basically the industry standards for the language industry. And just a little anecdote, I always thought that the language industry is not an industry because everybody who's acting in the industry is a craftsman or craftswoman, a craftsperson, right? So it comes from being a translator, like yeah, like building building something like a craft, which I really appreciate. But with the growing market, we need to redefine our thinking and our mindsets, and this is what LangOps is basically all about. So, why is it today? We have this huge what we call the AI explosion. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's using it. Nobody is using it more or less properly. We see a lot of integration challenges in order to make it enterprise ready or, yeah, company ready, buyer ready. We see a huge operational gap, and I know that everybody will later also talk about this. And for that, we need standards. We need standards in order to bring the right people and the right systems together. And I think this is the future of of our industry. Everybody has been talking about language frameworks or, operational frameworks. Nobody has defined it yet, and this is what we are doing. And we are not only doing it for ourselves or with with the brains that we have on board, but with you, because this is something which is relevant for everybody. And I hope that you'll be part of it. So the core purpose is to, as I already said, the industry transformation, but also to make enterprises understand that language is a strategic business layer, which goes from A to Z and is not from X, Y, Z. So not from X to Z, from A to Z, making it accessible through all operational layers, through all departments and all systems. This is basically what LangOps is about. So LangOps, we see that as a strategic discipline and also a global ecosystem, and of course, a community is part of this. So the vision of LangOps, of the LangOps Institute, is to shape the future of global communication, empowering organizations, setting standards, and providing the right systems to lead in a multilingual world. Uh, our mission is to enable transformation from translation-centric workflows into an agile and intelligent infrastructure. So infrastructure is the key. Language agnostic, you will hear that later as well, is the key to become a real infrastructure which is interactive, which is multi-layered and operates in real time, knowledge-centric. All this, of course, leads to a strategic advantage. So what are the five pillars of of our institute? On the one hand, we see some research. We are partnering here with CSA. Um, on the left-hand side, we see education and certification. Education is key in this time. You have to be upfront of everything. You have to be ahead of the game, and this is what education can provide you. We're doing own courses on LangOps, and we are partnering with Transler Stars in order to provide you very, very soon a whole bunch, a bouquet of very specialized courses and certified courses. Because certification is a key that that if we are looking, for example, into DevOps, DevOps knows exactly when a DevOps guy talks to a DevOps guy, and they are following the same metrics, the same KPIs. Enterprise transformation means that we are implementing on the buy side um, um, language as a strategic layer. From the early assessment into a full change program, and we also do technology validation and technology certification. What we call LangOpsy enough to be part of the game. And having said that, LangOps is just something, a coined phrase. So don't get me wrong. LangOps or LangOpsy stuff has been around for years. And we are just putting it all together into one ecosystem so that everybody understands, everybody benefits, and this will be the enabler of a growing market. So, and last not least, community. So what we are looking for, we want to establish a whole global network of professionals because we are all, maybe some are not, but everybody is tired of LinkedIn because LinkedIn is getting very, very Instagrammatic now. It's all about likes, followers, etc., etc. And I think we need a safe place to really work together and make things happen. And this is why we are establishing this platform. Most of the people right here are our founding partners. So we have 170 people that already subscribe to the platform. Um, those people will be free for 1 year, and after that it will be a very, very small amount. I don't know. I think it's 12 euros a month or something. So it's the price of a hamburger, at least in Berlin. And we are opening up this platform today. And the people that are attending this call or this webinar, no, this cast today, uh, will be uh, will be invited also to join for as the last founding partners. From tomorrow on, we will have it. We will have it then on a paid tier with a 30-day trial, etc. We will get to that later. So a growing community is key. Why? When I joined the industry, and I was in technology before that for 25 years, and I joined the industry, I don't know, 8 years ago, being the CEO of 24 Translate, a huge LSP or a big LSP in Germany. I understood quite quickly that it's under digitized, so they're still working like I said, craft people, but those people that I got acquainted with and that I know now very, very, very well, all those people are very bright-minded people. So linguists are really cool, super intelligent, etc., etc. And I think, well, right now nobody is really interested in what is the new role of a linguist if he's not longer a translator or something else happens. So let's work on that as well, on new roles, on new jobs, and on a bright future for everybody. So we are serving individuals, we are serving companies and tech providers, and companies also, of course, not only buy side, but also sell side. So this was a quick one from my side, and I will provide this slide deck later in the chat so that you can have something to read and go on. And I will leave the stage now to Diego. Please, Diego, Let's
Thank you,
rock and
Arthur.
roll.
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So thank you everybody again for being here today. And it's going to be, I'll be quick in the introduction. It's going to be a nice discussion, I'm sure. Just a few words about me. I've joined the industry 20 years ago already. I'm very passionate about breaching language barriers through technology. I think that's the future and present of our industry. And so, for the LangOps Institute, I'm in charge of the community. So I'm really excited to be here today. Arthur very well presented the concept of LangOps, so we'll skip that. Just a couple of housekeeping things that you usually have to do when you do these webinars on Zoom. You can use the chat first to introduce yourself, as I said at the beginning, but not everybody was here. So I will be really glad to read where you're from and why you're joining today and what is drawing you here today. Let's keep it, interactive as much as possible. But you can also use the chat to ask questions, of course. And Karim is supporting me, will be sending me the questions for the last part of this session today. So we'll be monitoring that. I want to mention that we are recording this session. So in case you don't want to show up, feel free to turn off your camera. This is also important. So we started with an opening presentation by Arthur. Thank you very much. We will have the actual roundtable discussion for about 40 minutes, and then at the end we will have a Q&A session and some takeaways, of course. Now I want to introduce the speakers, the panelists joining us today, starting from Nick. And Nick, I'll be very quick, and everybody will be very quick. You present yourself. Feel free to add anything you want to add when you get to talk. Nick is a staff engineer at MediaLocate and senior lecturer at Beijing Language and Culture University. Very much into the technology, software development, engineering, and building AI-driven workflows. We'll have Dorota as well, Dorota Pavlak. She is a localization consultant, translator, and founder of Localization Pro, where she empowers language professionals to integrate AI into their workflows. Mark Jones is head of technology at Comtech, a B Corp agency in the UK, where he leads the development of smart and scalable human plus AI workflow. We have Francisco Barrionuevo, a globalization and localization consultant as well, specializing in product strategy, UX, and multilingual content systems. Last but not least, we have Pascal Tremblay. She's within the Institute, she's Chief Growth Officer in the LangOps Institute. She has over 20 years of experience leading global language programs at big corporations like Gap and many other things. Now she's working as a global strategist mentor, and she's championing scalable AI integrated workflows and frameworks. Arthur, you were very quick to present yourself. You are the brain and mind behind the LangOps. Thank you for being here today. Last thing before we get started, I will be sharing soon a link to Slido with just a couple of questions that then we are going to review the answers at the very end of this panel. So now it's time to get it started, and I would like to get it started again. Thank you for being here with an opening questions for everybody. Very quick one, please, because we are running already late. And the first question to all of you, our panelists, would be: how do you define LangOps in your context? Very different backgrounds, very different experience. How do you think LangOps is different from traditional localization or translation management? Who's gonna start? Don't let me choose.
Maybe I can start. I can start.
Go.
So
Thank you.
from my perspective, obviously I'm coming at it from an LSP perspective, but it's quite a big mindset shift for us, right? It's about being a little bit more ambitious in what we do, but also getting right onto the customer side and really trying to seep ourselves into the problems and the challenges that they have. It's about being more strategic. It's about being a little bit more adventurous in what we do, and getting a seat at the table in the discussions that, you know, that we've all had that challenge where people do create this amazing content, and then they come to you and say, here, translate this, and you've got 2 days to do it, and it's like 20,000 words, and you go, okay. So yeah, I mean, for us, it's about trying to find that real mix of technology and linguistic and cultural expertise. I don't think we could do either without one or the other.
Thank you very much. So let me call Dorota then.
Sure. So for me, from the perspective of a translator and consultant, the main aspect is to put the language first. So to make sure my clients don't treat language as something that is an add-on, like something you can add extra very quickly once your product is ready, but something you have to put at the very beginning of your process. And it's all about building the right communication strategy. And maybe sometimes translation localization is not what you need. Maybe what you need is simply draft the content from scratch and working with content creators, specialists in the specific culture, so you can build a real connection.
Thank you. I see Francisco nodding a lot. So do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I agree with Dorota as well. To me, LangOps is kind of a strategic and operational foundation for anything language related, for all the language related decisions and operations. So it's more than a workflow. It's more like an ecosystemic wide transformation or shift of a mindset in the way that we perceive our industry. And to me, it doesn't replace localization or globalization, translation operations, however we want to call it, but it does go much further. It's about the vision and the strategy and connecting them directly to business execution across all the core functions of the business. So that being product content, but also sales, customer support, and beyond.
Thank you. I saw Mark was nodding, but he spoke already. So Nick, what do you think?
Yes, for us at Beijing Language and Culture University, LangOps gives us the principles to teach our students how to build intelligent language systems. And we've gone from being primarily a localization program where students complete projects to a LangOps program, or as we call it, intelligent translation studies, where the students, for their final project, they build a system. They design an online system that integrates large language models or quality estimation, all kinds of tools that can be used in AI translation workflows. So LangOps gives us the principles to make that a reality.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Last but not least, Pascal.
Well, thank you, Diego. Thank you, everyone, because and I love hearing from this community. This is actually what we've been trying to achieve, really incorporate ideas and also bring the knowledge of our community together. And this is it, really, language as an infrastructure component of the ecosystem in any organization. So it has a little bit of everything that's being mentioned right there. So it's not that it's not translation or localization. It's about abstracting even further and really establishing that strategic layer for an enterprise. And yes, thank you, everyone. It incorporates everything.
Yeah, thank you. I think this gives us a really rich picture of how LangOps looks like from different corners of the industry. Very interesting. So now that we have defined more or less the what, let's look at the why. Why do you think LangOps need to exist now, and what has changed really in our environment that is forcing us to adopt LangOps methodology into our processes? And I will start again with Mark, since you started already. It's been a while you don't talk. So the question would be, why does LangOps need to exist now?
I think from my perspective, from our perspective, I think is that a lot has happened over the last 2 years, right? Like the technology has just become so accessible, and everybody's going. There's been a lot of experimenting and a lot of experimentation across our industry and on the buyer side. Having actually a strategic framework to kind of manage that and then to mitigate the risk of that, I think is a key part of it. We as an industry, as a community, bring huge expertise when it comes to linguistic and cultural expertise, technological expertise, but also communication, stakeholder engagement, resilience, all of those things, right? So I think having that strategic layer and a direction that will then allow us to be able to then bring quite a lot of disparate programs and ideas and things together to actually then give clear direction to implementing something which is meaningful. I don't think a lot of businesses and a lot of experiences that we've seen at the moment have that clear direction, and that's why they fail in a lot of cases.
Thank you. Seems Francisco is nodding a lot when you talk. But Francisco, next question would be exactly for you. This was probably anticipated by Arthur at the beginning, but my question for you would then be, what are the risks of treating localization as a service instead of a system, as a framework, as we said? And
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you got it.
I might stop nodding. I see. So
Keep
yeah,
nodding.
my experience really comes from both in-house positions and consultant services, but I've got to work very closely with companies in either way. And I believe, based on what I've seen, that the main risk here is that is fragmentation, really, of the brand, the user experience, even compliance. So if you treat localization as a service, that often isolates it from the key decisions and that you make, at the high level as a company, and limits your ability to scale with the business. So, if you're always a siloed function or a service or a step in the release cycle, you're, based on the generative AI boom and all the technological advances that we've seen in the recent years, that is no longer sustainable, and it's no longer a possibility for us to keep up with the global demand and expectation for multilingual content delivery. So it creates bottlenecks, misalignment, and just very many missed opportunities to use the language as a true growth, enabler. So you might have, for example, a brilliant program and process in place for localizing your product in the best possible way with the best talent possible, most appropriate terminology and so on. But then maybe your marketing campaigns or your customer success teams might be using a completely different language. They might be working in a very different way, and that might create a disconnected experience for your users. So I've seen that happen a lot. I think that's a big risk, that lack of excuse me, transformation and alignment at the ecosystemic level.
Okay, I would have a follow-up questions to that, but I will ask that later to you again. I would ask the same question to Dorota as well. And the question would be again, what are the risks of treating localization as a service instead of a system? You come from a very specific point of view as a translator and consultant, working with translators and companies as well. What do you think are the risks? Are you in line with what Francisco was saying? Any new points of view on that?
Absolutely. I think the main risk is that content becomes disconnected. And for example, as a linguist, you don't really know what you're working on. So you receive strings of a mobile app or a website, but you have no context. But you have also no opportunity to talk to developers or designers, especially before the product is even designed or built. So when you treat localization language as a service, everything is just falling apart. There's no real collaboration, and maybe you miss an opportunity to truly connect with your users, with your clients.
So the follow-up questions would then be for all of you, basically. Where do you see, and you already said something about that, but where do you see LangOps sitting in a future-proofed in a modern organization? Is it product? Is it operations, engineering? Is it content? Is it everywhere? Where do you see it sitting?
I can step in
Yeah.
and take that. So I don't think it should be siloed under one function alone. I think it's cross-functional by nature. So ideally, it should operate as a connective bridge across product and engineering, content, operations, with a shared mindset and vision and goal, and also the shared infrastructure. I think that's a key part to ensure that multilingual alignment across user experiences, infrastructure, business goals, product launches, everything really. Just like it does in a very similar way as it does with the concept of DevOps or design ops, for example.
I think the other thing about this is I really like what Fran said is around this idea of being cross-functional, right? So if you can integrate language or localization professionals into your marketing teams, into your product teams, your content teams, whatever it might be, they then get to understand the challenges that those teams are experiencing. But then the other teams then also start to experience some of the challenges that we face on a daily basis, right? So, some of the challenges that we have around, I'm translating into German, and German is 20-30% longer, and then this product that we've spent loads of time developing actually now no longer fits, because when we translate it, there's we've not built it in the correct and in a meaningful way. And when it starts to then mean failure and mean more money and more cost, and we're leaving money on the table, then that's when people start to take notice. But if you had a cross-functional team where everybody kind of understood the challenges and the things that were important to each part of the puzzle, then I think it's a much better way of actually developing a product, or developing a marketing campaign, or developing content at scale, much quicker and much cheaper ultimately, because you don't have to go back and fix your mistakes that you've made when you do end up being a siloed operation.
Nick, how do you teach that to your students?
Yes, well, I'll answer the question of which department does it belong to, and perhaps give you a strategic metric for LangOps. And I understand my view is a little biased coming from an engineer's point of view, and there are certainly good counter arguments, but I'm going to say that LangOps should at least have one solid foot planted in engineering. And that's because LangOps is largely about building a system that is always on, that works in real time, that can be expanded at any time to any language, right? And the key metric for this that I would give, and there are flaws with this, but my key metric that I would propose is lines of code written. Of course, more code isn't always better code, but at least if you're writing code on a daily basis and making commits to the system and building new features, then it at least shows that you're moving in the right direction and making progress toward making this a system that'll work for everyone across the whole enterprise. That's all.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd like to add here, I agree with you, Nick, but I think one of the aspects of language that is undervalued in organization is language. And when we start thinking in terms of systems, language is in everything. It's embedded in everything. So yes, it needs to be cross-functional. It needs to be an infrastructure layer that is at the base of all the processes that you have. So leg into engineering, into product, into marketing, it will have to spider web. And that's because we're dealing with an advanced digital ecosystem, and all the part of language will need to be operationalized.
I like that you started disagreeing with Nick. I like that. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so you discussed, what is LangOps for you, and it clearly touches multiple departments. But I believe we are all individuals, and I believe that it also comes from personal experiences, right? So I was actually wondering, when was the aha moment for you then when you realized I need to go in that direction? We do need LangOps now. Nick, I'll ask that to you.
Yes. Last year, I did a big survey, a lot of reading in preparation for a book chapter that I wrote called Localization in the AI Era, which is published by Routledge last month. And as I kind of surveyed all of the literature and everything that was going on in our industry from both the industry side and academia, it all seems to converge on this idea of LangOps. So I think LangOps really was this shining star that came out from my research that I did last year.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the same to Mark. We have some LSPs here in the audience. Mark, when did it start for you?
Mine actually was at Lockwell 2 years ago in Dublin. So last year in Dublin, because I was introduced to the team at Blackbird, and they presented this idea of workflow orchestration, and I was sold in an instant, right? Like, as an LSP, one of the huge challenges we've always had is, okay, you have a range of clients, they all use a range of technologies. If you wanted to build integrated, connected workflows, it usually meant huge development cost and huge time investment, both on our side and on their side. And then actually thinking about it from a completely different perspective around, okay, well, actually, we can think about how we can build frictionless, seamless workflows. We get to go to the content rather than trying to shoehorn it into our own workflows, but also thinking about it from a wholly different perspective, right? Localization is generally a small part of the puzzle. It's also about, where do they create the content, the 10, 15, 20 systems that they deploy internally, the PM overhead it means to move this content around and actually to have it localized, and just about having to sort of liaise with multiple stakeholders. And it just completely shifted the dial for us, which is, okay, well, we've been looking at this wrong all along. We need to look at it completely differently. And it was a bit of a light bulb moment, I think, for how we considered, what localization kind of means for us.
Thank you. Nick, friend, you've been silent for a while.
Sure. So I cannot really pinpoint a very specific moment, but I can tell you that it's hit me. This idea has come to mind during very different periods where localization was constantly blocked, not by language or capacity issues, or not also because teams can't work cross-functionally, but by that fragmentation across tooling, ownership, and priorities. So we would be managing at one of the previous companies that I supported, we managed global releases across multiple regions, but localization was typically playing catch up with all the other functions. Before decisions about the product, the content design, timelines, and so on were happening somewhere else without alignment. And it was clear to me that what we lacked wasn't the resources or the expertise, but that vision, strategy, and really like engagement of like a language strategy from the very beginning. That shared infrastructure, that governance, that strategic visibility, really. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, you may want to support a different function, but then if that function doesn't have technology that has multilingual features, for example, then there's not a lot you can do. You need a different tool. So yeah, those moments are really it to me.
Thank you. Dorota, you started some time ago also, right? Do you remember why it clicked that you needed to shift a bit?
Yes, I think for me, those started with a frustration. So I was working as a translator on a nightmare localization project when basically every team worked in their own bubble. So designers were in their own bubble, developers in their bubble, and linguists also in their kind of bubble. So, and no one really communicated effectively with each other. And there were so many challenges and so many problems. And then I thought, why can't we just sit down together and discuss things before even the content for the mobile app is written? Why can't we just talk to, why can't developers and designers talk to linguists before they prototype their product? So then they could, for example, accommodate for longer languages or avoid many other challenges. So I thought, well, this is very frustrated. We have to put the language first. So then I transitioned into the role of consultant. And then maybe last year, I discovered the concept of LangOps, and it all made sense.
Great, thank you. Well, it's very powerful to hear the different experiences and how you manage to turn it into action or strategy. Change is difficult, we all know. And I want to now to dig into what is, because there are many conversations going on in the industry, right? And I read a lot about LangOps, and I believe there's still something that is holding LangOps a little back, especially when it's not understood correctly, right? And so, and this is conversations I've been having, things that I've read in the past. What do you think? Maybe I go to you, Pascal. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about LangOps or about multilingual at scale? Is it fear? Is it I don't get it? I don't get what it is? Is it the terms that is not clear? Where do you think is the biggest misconception?
Well, it's several layers here, right? So I think there's a little bit of everything. So there's a little bit of fear and resistance to change. There's also the reality of localization team of LSPs and technologies. Organizations have very, very different framework in which they work. So assumptions are very diverse. And this is something actually at the LangOps Institute we've seen, because we've been distributed across the world. And we've seen that at first our assumptions, oh, this is a mature system or this is not. And, our assumptions were slightly different. So with that in mind, though, so people are clinging to the term translation, localization, globalization. There's been so many changes in our industry, also sparked by this evolution of technologies. And actually, the thing is, LangOps is translations, but we're because the work that we do, and I'm speaking with my experience from the buyer side, the work that we do within an organization has very little to do now with the actual translation. It's about mapping content and relationship. It's about data organization. It's about architecturing all the processes cross-functionally. So if you talk on a level of localization, you're blurring the experience of what you're doing as a team. So when you use the concept of LangOps, you're reframing the conversation. You're shifting the conversation upstream where the work is actually happening. And this is what we've talked about, like as shift left. So you're moving upstream and reframing around language operations. It's not diminishing the work that you do, but it's more refining what you do, because you need engineers, you need solution architects, you need designer, and you need to really understand the complexity of that system. And if you continue using the words that we used in the past, then the work that you do as a human at the core of those systems will be missed. And in today's evolution, it's critical that we be precise, because not just in our industry, but across industry, because the work that you cannot automate it's not just review, it's not just design, it's actually an essential part of what makes us human. And it's going to be very critical the further this expansion of those digital ecosystem become.
Thank you. I saw Nick as a raised hand. Want to comment on that?
Yes, there's a misconception that we don't need the word LangOps because we already have localization. Well, I just want, like Pascal said, I just want to point out that CSA research marked the year 2023 as the year of peak localization. And now we're in the era of post-localization.
Right.
And localization has baked into it at least three assumptions that are less and less true every day. One of those assumptions is that our work is about delivering projects. Well, that's not exactly true these days. With LangOps and AI, it's more about enabling a feature for a customer rather than delivering a project. So we're transitioning from services to systems, and localization doesn't describe what we're doing now with systems building. That's one assumption. The other assumption that is less and less true is that the best way to deliver an international experience is to start with source content and then translate it and then deliver the translated content. Now with AI, we have the possibility of multilingual content generation. So generating content in multiple languages from scratch. So the entire assumption of translation from source to target is less true than it was a while ago. The third assumption that is less and less true is that people will consume localized content in the format that we deliver. Actually, I attended a presentation by Huawei a little while ago where they make systems, in-vehicle intelligent AI systems. And they detailed the evolution of physically printed manuals to an on-screen knowledge base where you click on this to read an article about how to use your car. And nowadays, you have a voice-activated AI assistant where you can interact with it by voice, and that AI assistant is also prepared to act on your instructions, to turn off the air conditioner, to open the trunk, to turn on the brakes, right? So now people are engaging not so much with content itself, but with AI agents. So it changes the whole perspective of content delivery and content consumption, where we have these AI agents. So I think it's just interesting that those assumptions that we previously held true in the age of localization are less and less true.
Thank you. Arthur, I saw you raise the hand. You want to comment on that?
That's very cool. I mean, you've said it all, Pascal, already, and Nick, very good. I just came to my mind this it was kind of a quote that in the future multilingual content will be born at one time. So it's not like a source and then you spread it like black, but it will be generated at a time, and I'm really excited about that, and it feels like we are really getting there, and yeah, that was basically my point. It's just I enjoy the conversation very much.
Thank you. This is why I didn't want to interrupt it before when I saw your raised hand. Mark, since you are coming from an LSP perspective, my question for you would be, where do you see AI, LLMs, automation, agents, as Nick said, help, and where do you still see we need human frameworks? And I would like to ask this question to you and to Dorota as well.
I think that you can't divide them. I think they come as a package, right? For us particularly, it comes as a package. If you think about, we've spoken obviously at length about the role or the perceived role of a translator, the translation, and we spoke about multilingual content generation. Yes, potentially the role of the translator will change, but humans will be as important as ever in the process. It might look different, but it will still be a huge part of the process. It might be that there's more human input up front or at the end rather than in the middle bit, right? So think about building multilingual knowledge graphs with ontology. That requires huge human input and expertise. Quality assurance, validation of content, terminology, all of the things which are core to actually maximizing the potential of the AI and the LLMs, if you like. I think the idea around AI, LLMs, automation is around being able to allow your teams to make more impact, right? So it's the idea of, particularly with automation, is around being able to create frictionless workflows so you can actually take your teams to the content where they make the most impact then, rather than having this contrived kind of workflow of and then it just kind of getting lost in the process. So for us, we're, you mentioned it at the start, we're a B Corp. Comtech is a B Corp. It's a huge part of what we're about. The whole idea around ethical AI, the environmental impact of AI, and all of those questions are a huge part of it. And for us, I don't think you can dissimulate the two. I think they come together. It just, the role, I guess, changes. I think when it comes to who's doing the work or what the work is. The second thing I will add to that is we've spoken at length, and our industry has spoken at length about this idea of perceived quality of translation. I think that's still quite an outdated conversation, and we should probably be looking at it a little bit differently in terms of impact and intent and purpose. But it's okay that not all content might actually be treated equally. It might actually not all be the same. You might have content which, goes through a fully automated AI-driven workflow, which is driven by fine-tuned models or knowledge graph, multilingual knowledge graphs, or just really good terminology RAG systems with with terminology and with reference data. And then you will still have the core creative services where the real reasoning and expertise of humans creates the impact then for the content. It's just, we're going to see potentially a little bit of a balancing act and a shift in what that actually looks like as we kind of start to feel a bit more comfortable with how we apply the technology.
Thank you. Dorota, quick answer, if you may.
Yes, I agree with Mark. Absolutely. You have to combine AI with the human expertise at the very minimum to verify the content, to make sure it's authentic, to make sure there's a cultural nuance, that everything is, that at least the very least that you can verify the facts and have a human. So there's someone responsible for the content. If you have only AI running wild, then there's no one responsible for it, right? You can't hold AI responsible for your content flows. So there's always human and AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Francisco, you started nodding again. What do you want to add a comment to that?
No, I do pretty much agree with what my colleague said. So yeah, I agree with everything. I think the human and AI combo is really the winning combo these days, and we do still need the human in the loop approach, especially for governance, contextual validation review, cultural adaptation, creativity, like Mark said, and also accountability, like Dorota was just saying now.
Thank you. Thank you. Pascal, Nick, anything to add on that? We are here to, yeah, no, all has been said.
No, I was just going to say we should probably move on to questions from the audience. We only have 9 minutes left.
No, absolutely.
And it's been an incredible conversation.
Yeah, we wouldn't have needed probably 3 hours, but life is life. Absolutely. But before we go to the questions that I've been, looking at them already in any case. I need a short comment from you on this simple question at the very end of this session, and it needs to be really short. But we are here to launch our LangOps Pros community. So my question for you would be, why should people join the LangOps Pro community? What would you say? Just be very short, okay? And then we go to the questions.
It combines different experiences, different personalities, different skills. It's the only way you can learn from other people. I think it's a great idea to be able to learn from industry peers. So not everybody has the same reality as you, right? So understanding others is a great way.
Thank you.
I agree with Mark, and also, everyone has the same shared purpose, which is to really advance our industry, to an efficient and scalable feature of multilingual operations, not just reacting to AI or what we see happen a lot every day. So I think it's the mindset and all of those experiences that people are sharing with each other in collaboration, that exchange of ideas.
Thank you. Anyone else want to get that? Otherwise, we go to the questions.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Dorota, please.
Yeah, I would also just add that it's like a safe space, an alternative to LinkedIn. You can't always express everything on LinkedIn, so it's kind of a nice alternative.
Thank you. Nick?
Yes, LangOps Pros, we're positive, we're enthusiastic, we meet regularly, we collaboratively build components of the LangOps vision. Just a little while ago, we were meeting together with Karim in the Knowledge Graphs group. We're working together on an implementation of knowledge graphs, and we hope to present our work later this year. So join us to get involved and build the future.
Thank you. Wow, this was a nice slogan. So we have some questions, and the first one would be, Karim, correct me if I'm looking at the wrong place, but I think I'm not. From Tony. Tony, I know Tony's, I met Tony 20 years ago. He always had questions. Thank you, Tony. His first question would be, how would you change the approach? And this is related to one of my first questions. How would you change the approach of a customer in order to be included at every level, as LangOps would suggest, would require? Who's going to take that?
I already wrote a little comment about that, because this is also about changing the perspective, how we sell things. So I was coming from that type. It's a strategic project. A strategic project always needs a C-level, C-suite or S-suite contact, at least in order to make it happen. So it will be a big change, and also a big change for all the for the managers involved and for the people involved. And this needs to be very, very diligently planned and done, because it is a big change management process. And I know that, for example, at the Deutsche Telekom years ago, everything was printed out on Word files, or provided with Word files, etc. So we've been very, very far away, but I think those people are gone now, and the street is free to really make a big change now.
Thank you, Arthur. And there's a question for you yourself. I will ask it later. Another question from Tony. I told you, and that is for Dorota. I love Tony. Dorota, how does it substantiate her change in the ways of working, practically speaking? Basically, how did you change the way of working in practice? Like some things you started doing, I guess.
I guess I started paying more attention to make sure that my clients use AI in the responsible way, not just jump blindly and use any technology they want, but we start from the problem and then we find the right solution. Always double checking if they really need AI, maybe not necessarily, and that they always include, human experts. So I think that would be the main change.
Thank you. Very interesting, very applicable for us LSPs as well. I love it.
I was going to say this actually kind of lends into into Tony's first question, which is it could be that it's actually quite a slow process, but you could start small. Start small with what Dorota said around making sure that your clients, or supporting your clients to implement AI in a responsible way, or to automate a workflow that is causing them an issue, and then build it up from there. And then you start to then foster that kind of mindset of being, okay, well, actually, this idea of language, this idea of translation is actually a little bit more strategic than I considered before. And then you start to be able to have some of those more interesting conversations about building this more strategic layer around language operations, essentially, which, it's not a click your fingers and here we go, we're going to change how we are from one day to the next. It could actually just, be those step-by-step kind of changes, to fix the challenge, bring your expertise of what as an LSP or as a language professional to then actually try and sort of shift their perspective, giving them access to a different perspective that they probably didn't have access to before.
Thank you. And there's a lovely comment by Nick as well in the chat. Go upstream one level at a time, showing how you can add value and optimize the process at their level. And I love this last part, give your client a success story they can take to their superiors. I love that. I love that. Thank you very much for that comment. Well, we are 1 minute and some seconds to the closing, and this was really inspiring. It was clarifying for me as well. I've been involved in Institute forever from the start, almost. I should have a better picture of what LangOps is about, but this conversation really helped me. So I hope it helped our audience as well. I know there are some people in the audience who are very curious about what LangOps is, and hopefully this also served for that as well. The community is about that. It's about making things clear. It's about creating a safer place, as Dorota said. Is about talking with each other, and we don't have any more time for questions. We probably might have another session in the future, but as we said at the beginning, the LangOps Pros community will officially open with a paid tier tomorrow. If you rush today, I invite you to get there and register. If someone can help me and paste the link again to the community until midnight. I don't know in which time zone, but for today it's still free. And if you join now, we can keep talking there with different things. We can start working together. So please join the community. Let's keep talking. I want to thank you, all the panelists. Thank you, Dorota. Thank you, Nick, Francisco, Mark. It was really, really a good session. Thank you, Arthur, for your nice presentation at the beginning. Thank you to the audience. And yeah, let's wrap it up like this. And I hope to see, the numbers in our community, the numbers of members like skyrocketing today. Please be quick. And we are always available to answer your questions. In the community, we also have like office hours where we are available to talk with you. And if you join now, you will see different sessions, different themed rooms as well that can be used to keep talking and be engaged together and start working together as well.
Yes.
It's 6 CET sharp. We did a good job, I believe.
Great.
Thank you so much again to everybody. And now go and click on the link and go to the community and see you there.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Diego.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.